man drives alone through the frozen borderlands, heading back into Soviet territory. Not as a soldier, not as a killer, but as a man returning home for the last time. His truck moves through the empty Siberian roads until it finally stops in front of an abandoned house. His house. Inside, everything is dead. Dust hangs in the air. Spiderwebs stretch across empty rooms. No laughter, no warmth, only silence. Atami Korpi walks through what used to be his life. Then he sees it. A single photograph left behind on the wall. Him, his wife, and their 2 small children. That is all that remains. Korpi holds the photo, his eyes burning with grief. And then he does something no normal man would ever do. He begins tearing his own house apart, log by log, beam by beam. He is not destroying it. He is taking it with him. Those wooden logs are not just timber. They are his last memory, the last proof his family ever existed. He loads them onto his truck. Even his small dog waits beside him, silent, as if it understands. He noticed him. Far away, deep inside a Siberian prison, a monster is being unleashed. A Soviet general reads from a report. Villages burned, families butchered, a woman and her 2 children hacked apart with a shovel, then fed to dogs. The man responsible stands in chains, completely calm. Igor Dragunov, a war criminal, a professional killer, a predator. The general looks at him. The family you slaughtered belonged to one man, he says. Atami Korpi, a Finnish commando, a legend. He has killed over 300 Red Army soldiers in revenge. They call him the Immortal. Then the general delivers the order. Korpi crossed into Soviet territory 10 hours ago. Clean up your mistake, kill him, and you walk away rich. By morning, Korpi reaches a Soviet checkpoint. Soldiers stop his truck. He hands over his passport. At that moment, the predator, Igor Dragunov, arrives. He sees the name, Atami Korpi. His eyes drift to the wooden logs strapped to the truck. Igor mocks him. I think the legend has been homesick. That's all that's left from his life before? Then he gives the order. Go on. One soldier rushes forward with a Molotov cocktail. Another slides toward the rear tire with a knife. Korpi moves instantly. He slams the truck door into the first soldier, sending the burning bottle back into his own body. The second soldier is thrown straight into Igor's Jeep. Korpi guns the engine and drives off and drags in a soldier. A tank and Igor's Jeep give chase. Moments later, they find Korpi's truck stopped, smoke rising from the hood. No one dares to approach. Then a man suddenly jumps out and starts to attack. Atami is shot, causing his truck to swerve and crash into bushes. Despite being wounded, he manages to get back onto the road. One motorcyclist jumps into the truck bed and attempts to tack her to fly forward and fall to the ground. Igor's car then drives over him. The brutal chase continues, with a motorcyclist chasing and firing at Atami. But Atami proves difficult to hit. Another soldier climbs onto the truck cabin and tries to pull Atami out. Atami, though dangling, fights. Atami then wraps the winch rope around the soldier's neck and throws him off, where he dangles from the rope. Atami then presses the winch to pull the rope, dragging the soldier with it and
unleash hell.
These are Igor's air units, now hunting Atami from the sky. Without a moment's hesitation, Atami quickly lifts his loyal dog into the truck and floors the gas before the 2 planes can circle back for another attack. Atami accelerates, but one plane dives down and unleashes a barrage of gunfire. He swerves sharply. He waits for a moment, looking for the second aircraft, but there is no sign of it, so he drives over the burning wreckage of the first plane. With no more sounds of pursuit, Atami drives forward until he emerges from the dense woods. He steps out to check for the second plane, squinting skyward. As he continues along the edge of an open field, the plane reappears, flying extremely low before soaring high and turning toward Atami's truck to open fire again. This time, the pilot is out of ammo, but the pilot lands and still manages to shoot at him. All right, let's end this. The pilot suddenly looks past Atami and laughs. When Atami turns, he sees a massive bomber approaching. Quickly, Atami reloads the logs and speeds off. The pilot, seemingly confident that Atami wouldn't survive, watches as the river floods the cabin in seconds. Atami Korpi grabs his small dog and forces open the side window, pushing the dog out first. But Korpi stays behind. As the truck sinks, he sees the wooden logs still strapped to it, the last remnants of his home. He dives back down. Korpi rips the bindings apart and the logs break free, rising toward the surface. He turns to follow them, but his strength is gone. As he begins to black out, he spots his family photo drifting toward the light above. Then everything fades. One of the logs surfaces and lifts him with it. His dog swims back to him. Korpi gasps for air. Elsewhere, the Soviets can only find the sunken truck. No body, no logs. Meanwhile, Korpi has made a raft from the logs and navigates through a devastated battlefield scattered with wrecked vehicles and dead soldiers. There he finds an abandoned tank, and a dangerous idea begins to form.
Hold your position.
The victory is brief. After a daring leap across the border, Atami's tank crashes onto Finnish soil, breaking its track and trapping him inside. He sends his dog to safety in the woods, but Atami is exhausted and captured. The Russian warlord Igor drags the broken legend back across the Soviet border to General Warwick. They beat him with electric wires and hung him from the ceiling of a prison train like a living chandelier. Igor calmly tells him how he murdered his wife, his children, and fed their bodies to dogs.
You are a mistake. Fucking weed in my field.
Igor heads to the dining car to demand his pay, but the general says, "You will get what is coming to you, but first..."
Let's celebrate.
They think they've won, but they've only ignited a nuclear fire in Atami's heart. Despite his wounds, Atami frees himself. When the guards hear a noise, one of them enters the carriage. The second soldier sees his partner's severed body and jumps from the speeding train in horror. Grabbing a pickaxe, Atami begins a silent cleanup of the train. He moves like a ghost in ninja mode. One soldier tries to scream, but the pickaxe is already buried in his mouth. Atami climbs onto the roof to bypass the armed gone. The officers unleash a barrage of lead stake. Atami rises from the body's dual-wielding machine guns and turns the train into a corridor of fire and flying brass. Realizing the legend is coming for him, Igor disconnects the carriage to escape. He gives Atami a smug farewell missile. Meanwhile, Igor stabs an officer, steals a pistol, and kills everyone in the room. When he aims at Warwick, the general shows him the money, saying, "This is for you." Igor lowers his pistol, then raises a shotgun. "And this is for you." As he prepares to escape, the floor shakes. Atami is riding the missile like a surfboard. He leaps off at the last second, tackling Igor into a bloody brawl. They trade blows with forks and iron rods, shovel, but Igor overpowers Atami before killing him. Igor says,
Any last words? Spit it out.
Atami does spit. Not a word, but a loosened nut from the missile. Terrified, Igor tries to run, but the flaming... Early the next morning at the Finnish border, a single carriage arrives carrying Atami and the weathered logs of his former home. As the border guard inspects his passport, he recognizes the legend before him and offers a silent, respectful salute. After rebuilding his sanctuary from the ruins of his old life, Atami finally finds peace in the quiet wilderness. For more intense survival stories and daily movie breakdowns, subscribe to Recaps.